Hello and welcome to Mondays with Ginell. We're here, it's Monday, and we're with Ginell.
Hello, everyone.
And like most of our shows now, I don't know, we're just probably going to make it up as we go along, and hopefully you'll give us something to talk about.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think. I told you I went and saw Mortal Kombat last week. Did you guys get to see it?
No, we have not had a chance to see it yet.
Okay. Like I said, it was cool because it had all the fatalities and gore, but it didn't have the kick-ass soundtrack. So
yeah.
But there was, actual martial arts, and some of the fatalities were amazing.
I saw a couple reviews that showed some of the fatalities. And from what I understand, it's setting up another movie where they actually have the tournament.
Yeah, this was actually pre-tournament when they were gathering people together. So the guy that played Kano really stole the movie. He was hysterical. He captured the essence of Kano.
Oh, excellent.
Nice.
Didn't he have a scene something about that he gets in a fight over beer?
Yes. Yeah, there's some good scenes. I mean, I admit I went in with a low bar because I really liked Paul W.S. Anderson's movie. I thought it was great.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, I was kind of like, I'm staying loyal to him. But as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, holy shit, this movie was literally made by fans for the fans. So they use the lines from the game, like there's one part where they go into arena and they say, this is where you test your might. And it was like, oh my God, nerd moment. And like I said, the fatalities were fantastic. And then, it's Hiroyuki Sanada, the guy that plays Scorpion, really nailed it. He did a fantastic job. And then I cannot remember the actor who plays Bihan, the first Sub-Zero, but he nailed it too. It was really good.
Cool. Very cool. Kat?
No pun intended.
People want to know what the skull's name is. That expression's good. There we go.
Oh, I don't have a name for him yet.
You don't?
No, I don't. Well, he's going to be part of things.
Really?
Yes.
Actually, that's going to become art?
Yeah, this is going to be part of a end table.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. But he can have a name. I can get more.
Oh, you can't use him if he has a name?
No, it's like with farm animals. Once you name them, you can't eat them.
Well, okay, I guess the skull remains nameless then.
Well, I have an exception to the rule on the once you name an animal, you can't eat it. My mother-in-law, her sister raises pigs, and they name them carnitas, pork chops, sausage.
Oh my God!
That's what they go. That's what they become.
That's
and
nice.
At Christmas time, we are given gifts of pork and sausage, and it's wonderful.
Ooh. Nice.
Take that, vegans.
Well, like my grandfather, what they would do is they would name their animals, but then they would trade them to the families up the street for an animal of equal size. And so that way you're not eating your pet. The neighbors are, but you're not.
That's a good way to weasel out of it. My mom, when she was growing up, my great-grandparents, they owned a huge farm out in El Cajon before El Cajon got all modernized and urban. And she didn't realize that the bunny rabbits that they were raising, that she was eating them later on. And her aunt...
I'm sorry, that would be funny.
Her aunt, my great aunt, got mad at her one day because my mom was, being an annoying kid. And she's like, you're eating the bunny rabbits. And my mom just broke into tears.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Like, Jesus. Dude,
that's
some brutal
pretty
shit.
cruel.
That's really
That
cool.
was farm life.
Yeah, I guess so. Wow.
Yeah, I've got weird farm stories. Like they're good, but just, like I said, my great grandparents owned a farm. It was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Okay, so let's see if the audience has anything to say about that. So were you listening yesterday? Yeah, you were listening yesterday, right?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I had to go take care of my mom yesterday, so I missed the entire show.
Oh, is she okay?
Yeah, she didn't react well to the COVID vaccine, and since she has Alzheimer's, it made her even more confused, and
Oh,
she lost
no.
control of her bowels and couldn't walk, and it was really scary. That's how I
no.
spent my weekend. So, but she's cool now. Like today, she got up, she walked on her own, she had an appetite, she was much more chipper, much more. She had much more lucidity. She wasn't confused anymore. So, I mean.
That's good.
Yeah, but heads up to people, if you have elderly loved ones that haven't gotten the COVID vaccine, keep an eye on them because, it can mess up their shit pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm hearing more and more of that. We've had a few incidents on our side of our family too.
Yeah, I mean, I took it, like I think I told you guys I took it so I could go back to doing sparring and stuff. But
Yeah.
the lymph nodes in my left armpit are still sore, and I got the shot on last Monday. So it's been a week,
Jesus.
and my lymph nodes are still swollen in my left armpit. So yeah, I hate this shit. Okay, let's talk about something positive. I think I just brought down the entire chat by telling my weekend sob story. I apologize, everyone. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer.
Endless Nocturne asks, hey Ishi, since the CE has the creativity of a paint-by-numbers coloring book, what would 5 years of non-existence do to someone's credit score? I think that's more of a cat question.
What would non-existence do to your credit score?
Yeah. You're spending a couple, 5 years dead for tax reasons.
Well, the next question is are you leaving behind debt? Are you paying any bills? Do you have absolutely no debt? And so therefore you're not paying into the system, therefore nobody is reporting bad about you. Because the truth is that when it comes to your credit, it's best to have constant activity of some flavor. Even if it's simply you pay $1. I have my headphones off because otherwise I hear myself and
it drives you nuts.
It drives me nuts. So that's why my headphones are off. But like say you have a credit card and all you do is you spend 1 penny and you pay 1 penny per month, that will increase your credit score or keep it at a high level better than if you have a credit card and you do nothing with it, or you have no credit cards. Your credit score shows how trustworthy you are and how likely you are to pay back a debt. That's what a credit score is. It's how much somebody can trust you. So if you constantly show that you are paying your debts, even if it's just like a penny, I mean, seriously, like a penny, that looks so much more, numbers wise, like you are trustworthy than if you have no credit or if, like, say, you paid off everything and you haven't opened anything new, because then creditors are going to want to know, well, you haven't wanted credit in the last 6 months. Why do you want credit now? They get suspicious if you don't have a constant affirmation that you are actually trustworthy. So if you disappeared and you off the grid and you did not pay any debts, or you opened absolutely nothing new so that you just were at a zero, that would lower your credit score. Now, would it lower it as much as reneging on a debt? No, but it would lower it.
And there you go. That's why I asked her, because I knew she'd give you a serious answer. Me, what would happen? I would suggest, if you're going to be dead for 5 years, when you rise from the dead, just start with a whole new identity.
Isn't that what Tupac did, apparently?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Him and Elvis and
yeah, Jim Morrison too.
Yeah, Elvis actually might have done that, though. That might actually be true as well as Tupac.
I think it's true with Tupac.
I could see Tupac doing something like that. I mean, you've got people gunning to kill you.
Yeah.
You want to flee.
Well, shoot, how many albums has he put out? I mean, he's got more things in the vault than Prince by this point.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. The Thanos snap, people coming back from the snap 5 years later. Oh, you're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What would that do? Actually, if that was the case, you know what? I didn't catch the context. I should have. Yeah, as far as the Marvel Entertainment, the Cinematic Universe, considering half the population was dead for 5 years or in non-existence, I think what you'd get is a massive clusterfuck of accountants and lawyers and government fighting over if there should be like loan forgiveness or just everything halted, or just okay, well, everything stopped and then it resumed when they came back. And I think you would just have an endless parade of show trials and media circus over what's going to be done. That's my take.
That's what they were supposed to be doing in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it turned into Antifa as the good guys. I don't know. You guys didn't watch that show, right?
No. See, I keep hearing mixed opinions. I heard at the end Antifa's the bad guy at the very end.
I heard Antifa's the bad guy, and then Sam Wilson takes pity on the leader and carries her out, and then yells at the governments to do better.
Really?
So
I don't know. I think
a limp-wristed half-ass attempt.
Yes. I think for me to watch that show, I'm going to have to sit down with a glass or two of whiskey and just bear through it.
Is it a wild turkey night?
I'm more of a snob. I like my Jameson.
Nice. You got to spoil yourself if you're going to watch a turkey.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Actually, I think we need to go a little further and start talking about the financial implications of zombies. I mean, do zombies have to work off their debt if they come back from the grave?
No, say
they're
they
free
replace
labor.
migrants.
What?
They replace migrants.
They replace migrants as free
Like in
labor.
Shaun of the Dead. Remember in Shaun of the Dead, they
Exactly.
used them as free labor. That was like the best use of
you have them
zombies.
fill the Amazon warehouse?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if you want to talk
Okay.
about a good zombie movie, that was a good zombie movie.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was brilliant. It totally took the zombie genre and knocked it on its side.
And what I liked about it was it walked the line very well between horror comedy.
Well, the weird thing is I was expecting something a little wackier, and I was impressed that all the comedy is character-based. It is a legit straight-ahead zombie movie with people reacting realistically and our leads being buffoons. That's it. It's funny because it's two buffoons in the zombie apocalypse. That's why it's funny, and they react as such. That they're so full of there's so much in their own little world, they don't even notice the world's ended.
A great scene is where they throw the record at the zombie and it kind of, a shard pierces it. So then they decide to use records.
Yeah.
They want to look for the bad records. Like when they pull out the Blue Monday club mix, he's like, no. But it's totally okay to throw a Sade.
Yeah,
That was great.
That was a really good film, and I'm not really into zombie films, so that one really I enjoy. I own that one. We own what? Night of the Living Dead and Shaun of the Dead. Are there any other zombie things we
28
own?
days.
Oh, and 28 Days Later, yeah.
Oh, 28 Days was brilliant too, because that was a good show, in my opinion. Other people might disagree with me, of a zombie apocalypse started by a plague, but they're not dead, they're alive. So it's more like that parasitic brain where you're being controlled in a hive mind. I thought that was a really good film too.
Well, I really liked that the horror or the scariest thing wasn't the zombies. it was humans.
Yes,
and
the
how
military.
humans were reacting to the crisis. And come on, Christopher Eccleston was amazing in that role, and it was totally believable, and where you actually kind of felt for him, even though he was being a bastard.
That was the first movie I ever saw him in, and then I think like 3 months later, he came out as the Ninth Doctor, which got me into Doctor Who, because I would watch that and then watch Battlestar Galactica.
Nice lineup.
Yes, it was a good lineup. But he was, I wasn't angry at him either in that movie, because I understood like his men were falling apart and he was desperate to do anything, but the way he was going about it was really horrible.
Well, he kind of cracked is what it was. It was obvious he was way in over his head.
Well, wasn't he just a lieutenant?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And it was very clear he had a very tenuous control over the base.
Yeah.
Okay, Marvala says, oh God, Ishi, if you want debt and zombies, you should check out Red Markets. It's both really interesting and really cringe because it's written by far-left weirdos. Is this a movie or a novel? But yeah, okay. that does, yeah, just the name, Red Markets.
Well, that reminds me of Nether Beast Incorporated.
I really liked that one.
Where they're vampires running a corporation.
Right.
But not in the way that you would think. Yeah, it's like, what is it, telemarketing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like Office Space with vampires?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Actually,
Okay,
it
what's
really
the name
is.
of this movie? Because I need to watch this now.
Nether Beast Incorporated, and it's got
Okay.
Phil Hartman
and
Dave Foley.
And Dave Foley.
And there are a few others, but those are the big names.
Okay, you sold me with Phil Hartman and Dave Foley.
Yeah, they're a great pairing.
It's for free on Amazon, I believe.
And I think there was an older actor in there too that was famous, but it's been a long time. That delivered where, unfortunately, Blood and Donuts started strong and then just kind of got lost.
Yeah.
Let's see. You heard of Blood and Donuts?
No, I have not heard of that either.
It's a really interesting beginning. First two acts are great. The third one, it was obviously didn't know what to do with it. But it's essentially about this guy who is a vampire. He decides in the 1960s, he just says, I'm done with this. Decides to take a very long nap and wakes up in the 90s.
Oh, shit.
And starts hanging out in all-night donut shops.
Oh, God.
Up in the middle of nowhere in Canada.
Well, it's specifically, he hangs out there because that was where the biker bar was that he would hang out in the 60s, and he misses that era.
Okay, so Blood and Donuts.
Yeah, the first two acts are very good. The third one, not terrible, but it gets a little lost.
Yeah.
But yeah,
When I think of vampires and donut shops, I think of that episode of Angel where he's flashing back to the 70s where he kills the guys that are robbing the store, but then they accidentally shoot the donut clerk, so he feels bad, but he feeds off of him.
Was it Journey he plays on the...
Yeah.
No, it was Mandy, because he was a huge Barry Manilow fan. Like Cordelia always mocked him for the fact that he listened to Barry Manilow. I mean, I like the character Angel, just to go off on a tangent, because underneath the brooding exterior, the guy was a massive geek. He loved old school Battlestar Galactica, and he loved Lorne Greene. He watched Bonanza, and his favorite musician was Barry Manilow. It's like, this guy's supposed to be the goth stud muffin, and underneath, he's the biggest dork on the planet.
And kind of a chunkhead.
Yeah. I missed that show.
Yeah, I really liked especially the last couple seasons.
Yes. I didn't like the fourth season with the whole Cordelia getting pregnant by Connor because Joss Whedon was mad at Charisma Carpenter. That was weird and gross.
What was his deal with Charisma Carpenter?
She got pregnant. Oh, you guys, it was over social media. Like pretty much all the actors and actresses that were on Buffy and Angel all came out and backed her up. The reason she just disappeared from the show is she got pregnant and Joss Whedon got mad that she got pregnant and told her to abort the baby, and she's Catholic, and she said, hell
Oh,
no.
Jesus.
Asshole.
And so he treated her like shit. And then while she was pregnant, they said that, you know, she couldn't do a lot of strenuous work or she could lose the baby. They wanted her on bed rest. Well, then he would call her up at 1 o'clock in the morning and say, you need to come down to the studio right now. We're filming. And she was the main breadwinner of the house. And then after the 4th season was over, he called her in and said, you're fired.
What a
And
piece
that's
of
why
shit.
she got the shitty storyline where she screws her lover's son, gets pregnant by her lover's son, and then births a demon and then goes into a coma. Like it was horrible shit. And like I said, who was it that came out? Michelle Trachtenberg, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Sarah Michelle Gellar came out and said she never wanted her name associated with Joss Whedon again. James Marsters came out. David Boreanaz came out and said, I'm sorry, I had to keep a lid on it. And she was like, don't worry, she was basically saying she didn't want him to get fired either, or the rest of the cast. So they knew, but she told them to keep their mouths shut. So yeah, that's why Cordelia just had a shitty storyline and then disappeared.
Oh, but you know, Joss is a real feminist.
He's such a feminist that he fucked Felicia Day and then put her on Dr. Terrible's sing-along and helped her get the guild started while he was married.
What a swell guy. I always suspected he wrote it for her, I'll be honest with you.
That he wrote the guild?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't really seem to have... Well, we read her autobiography.
Yeah.
The bitch can't write. She can't even do a
couldn't
narrative.
listen to those episodes. I'm sorry, guys. I couldn't do it.
Well, you read that, and she's like, this woman did not write the guild.
No.
There's no way this person wrote the guild.
Then yeah, it was probably Joss Whedon, because his wife, his ex-wife, when they were married, came out and talked about how many of the actresses were casting couch actresses. And so not the main ones, but I know that Michelle Trachtenberg's mom had put in her contract that Joss Whedon could no longer be alone in a room with her because he did some inappropriate shit with her.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't touch her, but he said some inappropriate stuff, and she told her mom, and her mom had her contract readjusted, so she was never alone with them.
She looked 14 through the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Oh, yeah. Like, you guys... you can look it up online if you want. Like, since Steve and I were huge Buffy and Angel fans, like we were like, holy shit. So that's how we found out, because we still follow Buffy and Angel stuff if it doesn't suck.
Okay, hold on. Chris P says, Batman soundtrack, throw it. Okay, which Batman soundtrack are we talking about? Are you talking about the Danny Elfman score or Bat Dance? Because I'm okay with you throwing Bat Dance. Although I got to admit, Face to Face, where you got Danny Elfman doing the music and Susie singing, was great.
Wasn't that the second movie with him? It
Yes.
was Batman and Catwoman. Oh my God, that song is legit good.
Yeah, isn't it great?
Yes.
Yeah, that was like one of those pairings. It's like, thank you. This justifies everything. Even though I like the movie better than the first. I know that's not a popular opinion, but
no, I like the second one better than the first. I like Jack Nicholson's Joker. For me, that made the first movie.
Yeah.
But there's something about the storyline in the second movie with Selena Kyle and Oswald Cobblepot and Max Schreck.
The story had more depth. It was less of a spectacle.
It was 2 movies crammed into one.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true.
And that's my only problem with it. Because I agree, I enjoyed that one better than the first, but it's 2 movies crammed into one.
And I just wish we had gotten what he wanted to do for Riddler. Brad Dourif.
No. Get the fuck out. For real?
For real.
Oh my God. Oh.
I know, doesn't it hurt?
My heart hurts now. It hurts.
Yeah, that
really
would have
bad.
been incredible.
Well, I know that he planned on bringing back Jack Nicholson because he was going to have the Scarecrow in it, and Jack Nicholson was going to be the hallucination that Batman gets when he's hit with the Scarecrow, the fear gas.
Oh.
And so, yeah, Tim Burton had the whole thing planned out. And I don't know why they decided to go with Joel Schumacher's vision. I really
It's a
don't.
long, involved, convoluted bullshit story, but basically comes down to studio crap.
Don't get me wrong, Joel Schumacher did The Lost Boys, so I can see why they were like,
and
he did
Falling
Lost Boys,
Down.
right? And
Yeah,
Falling
Lost
Down.
Boys and Falling Down. He could have done it. I don't know why he decided to go for a gay musical.
I don't know either. I remember watching an interview, and he said he was trying to get across the campiness of a comic book. So he was trying to get across the campiness of the 60s Batman and then also the comic book and make it kind of surreal. But it just came off like a bad acid trip. And when I say bad, I don't mean like, oh, you're freaking out. It's more like, oh, I have a body fry and I'm getting diarrhea.
But to his credit, he has apologized.
Yes, I did read about that. He apologized, which I appreciate. A lot of directors won't come out and say, yeah, I fucked that up.
Yeah, well, you know, he made some good films too, so it's okay. I mean, like I said, Lost Boys, Falling Down. Hell, I even liked DC Cab.
I've never heard of that.
Oh, it's one of those screwball comedies from the 80s. That's just weird. There's
so many screwball comedies from the 80s. I can't keep up.
And yeah. So, yeah, DC Cab. He did The Wiz, which you want to talk acid trips.
I actually like that movie. Okay, I know a lot of people hate that movie, but I appreciate that they were trying to transform Oz into the ghetto and actually did a pretty good job.
I loved the imagery. I thought the imagery was incredible.
It was really post-apocalyptic, in my opinion.
Yeah. I saw it as a kid, though, so I can't really make any fair judgment.
I saw it as a kid, too. So
I just remember that the mall with the killer Dalek trash cans really disturbed me as a child.
I always think of Nipsey Russell being stuck under his robot wife who was obese, and they were in the defunct fairgrounds. And it looked like Coney Island, but Coney Island if it had been nuked.
Yeah, you kind of got the notion this was all kind of this post-nuke mutant thing, isn't it?
Yes, it honestly, if I didn't know any better, I would have thought this was a post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland mutants run amok movie, and Diana Ross was the virginal only pure human left that was trying to make it out alive.
And The Wiz was, I think, Richard Pryor, which was an interesting choice too, but it worked.
Oh, it worked well.
Okay.
It does work.
We got a comment here. 28 days later was great, and 28 weeks later was terrible. Didn't see 28 weeks later, but I do have an interesting fact about 28 days later. Apparently, I haven't read it, but apparently the film is very, very close to the narrative in Day of the Trippids, which is a classic sci-fi novel by the same guy who did Village of the Damned, believe it or not. But the TV movie's not like the actual book.
Speaking of Village of the Damned, how did you guys feel about the John Carpenter version? Me being a John Carpenter fanatic, I automatically liked it.
I thought it was enjoyable. My only complaint is it did not feel like a movie. It felt like a TV movie.
Yes.
It felt like a very high-end TV movie. I mean, nothing I could say bad about it other than it was shot like a TV movie.
Well, at the time frame, it had actors and actresses that were in TV movies or got their start on TV movies, like Christopher Reeve. I mean, I know he was known for Superman, and then there was also the movie with what's her name, Jane Seymour, the time traveling romance that's super depressing.
Time After Time.
Yes. Wasn't that was a TV movie, or was that an actual movie?
Oh wait, that's Time and Time Again, right?
Okay.
Was it what? I think that's what it was.
Time After Time is the one where
Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
So no, this is Time and Time Again was the one you're thinking of, the TV movie.
And then Kirstie Alley had been on Cheers for the most of her career, and then had just started getting into movies with Look Who's Talking.
Yeah.
And that really awesome movie with Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons that takes place in the future.
And Star Trek.
Renegade, which is
Runaway.
I think Runaway, that's it. Renegade's that stupid show with Lorenzo Lamas. Sorry. It was filmed in San Diego. That's all I know. And my mom got to meet him, and she said he was super hot. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot of actors and actresses that had switched between TV and movies. So I can kind of see where there was more of that television, like a miniseries feel to it, kind of like The Stand.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was weird because it didn't quite feel like a Carpenter film. It wasn't bad though.
No, it wasn't bad. I don't want to say it was slow either, but it's like it was building up to something, and then it just kind of, for me, in a way, it was a little anticlimactic, especially with the one little alien boy that turned good at the end. Like, that didn't fit.
I think that was originally called, with the Midwich Cuckoos was the, not a great title. Okay, let's see.
They changed it.
Somewhere in Time was sad. I can't believe Richard Matheson wrote that. Read more Matheson. He writes some rather depressing stuff sometimes.
Yes, he does.
In fact, I Am Legend has some really depressing points.
I actually had to stop reading I Am Legend because of that.
I couldn't get too far into the book either, because it was just so, like, it was so futile, in my opinion. Not futile like bad, but you're just feeling this guy's, like, I'm not going to survive. This is my life. Great. And knowing what the ending is, especially, I remember seeing the Vincent Price film when I was at animation school. I love that film, by the way.
Yeah.
Just seeing the ending, and spoiler alert for anybody who doesn't know, finding out that he is actually the boogeyman to the vampires.
Right.
And so he has become, I am legend. I have become a legend. It's just like, fuck. Wow. Now I want to go drink like a couple of bottles of scotch and cry into my pillow.
No, for me, it was the dog. He meets the dog and realizes it's not contaminated and tries to befriend it. And just that whole process, and just suddenly here's a live thing. It was so gut wrenching. It's like I had to stop reading it because I didn't want to know if the dog dies or not.
They kind of did that in the Will Smith version, where the dog contracts vampirism and he has to put it down, and you're just like, oh, dude, why?
Yeah, it's like, no, knowing Matheson, he'd kill the dog. I can't move forward.
And I don't care what anyone says. I enjoyed Omega Man.
Omega Man is awesome, and anybody who says otherwise, cat accepted. If she doesn't like it,
she hasn't seen it, so she has no call.
But Omega Man's a fantastic film. Charlton Heston did wonderful post-apocalyptic films, and I forget the genre, but it was in the 70s.
Right? You know that's I Am Legend, but with a different ending.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It had some really good character actors in it too, like Anthony Zerbe. He played the main they called them Morlocks in the movie too. He was the head like vampire guy.
The family.
Yeah, the family. That's
Morlocks?
it. They wore sunglasses and black hoods.
Yeah.
Is that a reference on purpose?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Morlocks eat people.
Yes.
But I also, what was the other one he did? Oh, Soylent Green. That movie's brilliant.
Soylent Green is people. Or is it the Wumpscut track that samples it, where they've got the German version? He's screaming something about Soylent Green, ein mein Fleisch.
It doesn't really translate.
No, it doesn't really quite have it.
Usually I prefer the German version of things, but that doesn't work.
There's no phone ringing, damn it. Yeah. Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you guys are fans too. I don't know. There was like this period where it seemed like, well, everyone my parents' age had seen it but didn't have anything, it would rip on it and laugh at it. But I like it. I thought it was a great film. And the music's awesome.
That 70s beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to
It
think.
really gives it setting, you know. It's of its time.
I'm trying to think of the genre of films that Charlton Heston starred in. There was this disaster films. That's what they were called, because he did Omega Man, he did Soylent Green, he did Planet of the Apes. I think he did Airport, which Airplane spoofed, which is also, that's a fantastic film too. And there was one more that, not Towering Inferno. That was Newman and McQueen. Earthquake.
Okay.
So yeah, Charlton Heston was like the face of disaster films. And I loved watching those on TBS as a kid growing up. Like TBS would always have one of those movies on and you could watch it and they were great.
You know, I didn't see a lot of those as a kid, but I did see Airplane.
Oh God, Airplane is...
And Top Secret.
Oh my God, those are such good movies.
Yeah,
I love
Zucker
those
brothers.
movies. And the first Naked Gun, that was a fantastic film too.
But yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Towering Inferno is what they called me in high school. Shit, wrong.
With that flaming ginger hair, I could see it.
Are you tall, dude? I know you got the hair. Are you tall? I guess that'll make you that much more intimidating. Let's see.
Oh, Sam. Sorry if I botched your name. Samuli?
Samuli, I believe is what it is.
Samuli Ulke. You really should see They Live. I actually posted on Instagram the shirt that I got. That's from that movie.
I love that shirt. I need that in my life.
Oh, I was so excited. I had a friend send the link to me because he knows what a huge John Carpenter freak I am. He's like, you need this shirt. And so I went online. I was like, yep, I bought it right there.
What's the shirt?
It's Roddy Piper wearing the sunglasses from They Live, and it has the aliens reflected in them, and he's blowing a bubble from bubble gum.
Nice.
Yes. So yeah, I cannot wait to wear that.
I love the bit in They Live where it's, oh, it figures it'd be something like this. He's not even surprised.
I think my favorite line is when he first sees one of the aliens and it's the snobby rich lady. He's like, look, your face looks like it fell in the cheese dip back in 57. It's like, Jesus, that's good.
It's tapioca face.
You're okay. Her real fucking ugly.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't make them like that anymore. There's a documentary for you. They Live.
Yeah, They Live. That's interesting how John Carpenter predicted that one. Or wasn't They Live based on a short story?
Well,
or is that Prince of Darkness?
No, it was They Live, and it was based on a short story that was then a comic, and then he made the movie. But in both cases, the each version is a very different entity. In fact, the short story is like, I think, a couple paragraphs. And then the comic is quite longer, and it's called Nada.
That's why his name is Nada, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Oh, Endless Nocturne. I found out that was a limited edition t-shirt. They don't have them anymore, but they might have them again. It's on Ripped Apparel. I'm not good at doing links, so...
Okay, so to the chat, now that Kat's being lit by the light above her and you don't have her blown out by the sunlight behind because the garage door is shut and it's nighttime, this is what I mean by she's impossible to photograph. You were coming out ghost white.
Oh, was I?
Yeah. And she really is kind of that pale. Okay. So, see, we don't need a topic. We always find topics on their own. So,
oh,
Yeah.
I can always find a topic. Like if you want to talk about Cutie Honey, I bought the manga, the first volume, and read it for the first time ever, and it was
Oh,
fantastic.
tell me
To the
about it because I want
point
to
that
order
I
that.
bought the the show.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, give us a short review of that because I want to order that omnibus.
it is. It's very, no, I don't want to say graphic. Oh man, it's etchy to the extreme, and I loved it. There's actually a lot more boobies than there were in the anime, and the female villains are very, I want to say warped. Like they're a mix of animals or machinery, and like he really emphasizes it. And it's basically an etchy comic that's a comedy where this sweet cyborg who's trying to live on with her father's legacy and do right by his legacy is fighting the evil Panther Claw, and it's basically just like chicks that, you know, butter faces but have really good tits. And it's a good comedy. I mean, one of the villains is named Breast Panther.
Wow.
Like, I mean, you can't get any better than that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I ordered it. I read it in one day. It was great. I neglected my family and chores that day because I couldn't put it down. But it was fun. I enjoyed it.
That speaks very highly of Gona Guy's work.
I ended up buying that, and then it wasn't the first manga volume of Violence Jack, but the second one. And that one's pretty good too, but it's pretty visceral.
Yeah.
So,
Does it live up
not
to its name?
necessarily gory, but the topics that come up, I want to say, are visceral. It's like the worst of humanity you're seeing come out.
That's kind of what I recall. And I'm sure the comic's a lot worse.
Oh, the anime was brutal. I couldn't believe that was a mainstream OVA anime when I watched it, because it was completely uncensored, which blew my mind. But I think he was trying to get a point across. And I can understand. I mean, Devilman, that, now you want to talk about visceral, holy shit.
Oh, what was the one he did where it was just this acid trip of him trying to do his own version of the apocalypse?
Well, Devilman came under that.
Well, no, it's the one where we're watching. He's got the power of 2 dinosaurs and a fighter jet. Like, what?
I forgot about that.
It was just so bizarre.
The power of what?
I'm not surprised, but Go in the Guy is like really good at bizarre.
Yeah. Did a lot of acid apparently.
Yeah, actually, I've done acid a few times. I wonder what it'd be like to do acid with him.
Oh, jeez.
You guys want to hear a good story? In '98, when Tool came to San Diego, I took 2 double dip sugar cubes of LSD, went and saw Tool. I saw Maynard get stuffed into a body bag and carried around stage, which made my mind break. And then, because I have huge tits, somebody gave me a VIP pass. And while I was tripping balls, I met Maynard and the rest of the band.
I heard the rest of that story. I didn't know the LSD part.
Yeah. When I was in college, I experimented a lot with hallucinogens. I did a lot of acid and I did a lot of mushrooms.
Wow. Well.
And never really had it. I only had one bad trip, but that was because the people that were supposed to be babysitting all of us decided to get drunk and then were like threatening to throw us in the fire because they thought it was funny. Oh.
See, I was usually the guy babysitting everyone because I didn't do anything. I mean, I was really straight edge. But the one time and one time only, I did try LSD. And it was I was very unhappy with myself. It was at Disneyland. And, you know, you'd think you'd see something at Disneyland. I didn't. I saw nothing profound, saw nothing amazing. Time just moved very slowly, or I lost my ability to tell the passage of time. I felt like I was in a dream, and I was really, really pissed off that I had let myself take the acid and just completely lose the ability to perceive what was around me coherently. And then I remember at one point I'm peaking and I'm sitting on the Alice in Wonderland ride.
I thought you were on Mr. Toad.
No. And
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
and my profound thought, the one big profound discovery I had on LSD is I'm sitting in the Alice in Wonderland ride. I'm peaking. And I realized to myself, I spent $60 to come to a park and sit in a little car that looks like a caterpillar while lights flash and cutouts of little cardboard men that look like playing cards dance around. Why the fuck did I do that?
The reason I'm laughing is because I took mushrooms and went to Disneyland.
Oh, that was probably a much better experience.
I didn't hallucinate in the sense that a lot of people did. The colors were really bright. But what was so funny is I went with 3 other people. We were all on shrooms. It wasn't the smartest idea. But the 2 girls that were with us went like full-blown bubblegum Becky. And so we go on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and I love this ride because it was my dad's favorite ride. So I was like, I totally want to go see how colorful hell looks. Well, when we get to the part where you go through hell, they start screaming, "Oh my God, we're going to hell!" And I was like, you guys are ruining my fucking trip. Shut up. Yeah, I went on Alice in Wonderland with them, and they were like, "Oh my God, they're going to cut off our heads." I was like, "Oh God, please shut up. Why did I take mushrooms with you?" Luckily, I was paired with the only guy that was with us, and he was a big stoner too, so he was chill throughout the whole thing. He was fine. So like we wandered off and like went and rode the roller coasters and stuff, and we were like, you guys have fun freaking out. And like, because it wasn't, a typical, like, you see people freaking out. No, they were just acting obnoxious.
Yeah.
So like, go get sent to Disney jail. You're ruining my trip. So yeah, I've had some very weird stories.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I was pretty much straight edge all my life, remained that way for the most part. Took the LSD expecting it to be impressive and really, really disliked the lack of control. But yeah, I thought that was my one profound awareness. I paid money to sit on this thing.
I wish that I would have had that profound epiphany on the ride. It probably would have made my trip a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My sister, on the other hand, did a lot of shrooms and other things. And I remember once she had been eating shrooms apparently and decided to call me from her bedroom to tell me about it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I'm like, "You're downstairs right now on mushrooms." "Yeah." "And the lights are off. And I'm looking at the shutters."
Isn't this like when she had her own line, so you 2 were still in the same house?
Yes. And I'm upstairs, and you called me. Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. I've had phone calls like that from friends when I was younger. Like, "You won't believe what's happening to me." It's like, dude, it's 2:00 in the morning. I got to go to work.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe that's another Gen X experience. Phone culture is different now. You always, in high school and then around in college, you always had like 1 or 2 friends that when they were partying, they decided, "Hey, now's a good time to call somebody."
Oh, I'll never forget. I had some friends call. I was still living at home. I'd moved from the dorms at SDSU back home. And they got wasted. It's like 3:00 in the morning on a weekday. My dad, my mom, and I all have to get up for work in the morning, and the phone starts ringing. And I just hear my dad pick up the phone. He's like, "Hello." And I can hear him. He's like, "You need to sober up. She's sleeping."
Oh,
It's like I could just hear the veins popping in his temple. He was so pissed.
wow.
Like, oh shit. I had to apologize to him more. I was like, I swear I had nothing to do with that, Dad. I'm so sorry.
Oh my
Now,
God.
in high school, I had a friend who was, kind of real big on partying. And, you never knew what night it was going to be. You were going to get a call anywhere between 2 to 4 in the morning. Dude, guess what I'm doing? Guess what I'm doing? What are you doing? I'm partying. I am so drunk. And then he'd go down the list of everything he drank.
Jesus. There's always that one friend that can remember and list off every single drop of alcohol they have ingested at that party.
The worst one, though, was when he called, and same thing as, dude, I didn't think it could happen, but it's true. You know that Dead Kennedy song, Too Drunk to Fuck? You really can get too drunk to fuck. I was like, okay.
I keep laughing so hard.
It is funny.
But I mean, seriously, your experiences, Ishi, I had the same thing. It really must have been a thing in like the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
For real.
So you had that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. I went to it when I was in college. I was rebelling against my parents. So I was like, I'm going to drink a bunch of fucking alcohol and smoke weed and do mushrooms and do acid. So for like 3 years of my life, I just partied my ass off. And then, after a while, I was like, okay, yeah, I've done it all. Especially when I turned 21, all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I don't really want to drink anymore. Like now I'm of appropriate age and it's like, okay, I did it all. But yeah, I got the phone calls. I have had my friends that are males walk out of a bedroom in shame and, like, oh, okay, yeah, you were too drunk to fuck, weren't you, dude?
Any others like that?
Oh, God, let's see.
Okay, how about the stoner friend where you're in the middle of a conversation and then they just stop?
Yes.
And just start staring.
Or what about the stoner friend that is playing a video game and is just moving really slow and he's like confused? Because I watched a friend do that playing Resident Evil 2.
Oh.
And I don't know how he survived from the beginning of the game as Leon to getting to the police station because his reflexes were so slow. His hand-eye coordination from being so high that he kept just getting munched on by zombies. So he was literally, it was like Leon holding his arm, dragging his leg. There's only a thin bar of red left on his health, and he somehow made it in. But
actually, that's a good question. This kind of culture that was very much something in the 80s and 90s, and probably was even happening somewhat in the 70s, although the 70s were a very different time from what I understand. But in the 80s and 90s, there really was this thing where a large part of high school or even the early college years was finding out, okay, well, somebody's having a party here. You don't know who they are. You don't know who their parents are. You don't know anything. You just show up.
Yep, I did
or
that
you go
a lot.
2 and 3.
Yeah, I showed up to a lot of parties. When my parents were out of town, I threw a lot of parties, and there would be people I'd never met before in my house. Like, hey, what's up? Come enjoy the cake. Yeah, I mean, it was just a different time. I know that I'm speaking as a parent now. It's like, if you're going to party, just, be careful. Like I'm going to tell my dad told me this, like, if you get too drunk, just call me. I'll come pick you up. Like,
that's
I'm not going to be mad. Yeah, he was really cool because he didn't want me to drive drunk. I don't know if I've ever told the story about the student that my dad had that died over Christmas break because he went to a party and drove drunk home and got in a head-on collision and died. So that really bothered my dad. And so when I became 18 and, he knew I was going out and partying and rebelling. He was like, look, I might be mad when you pick up the phone, or I pick up the phone and I come to get you, but I would rather be mad and you alive than not get the phone call and you possibly being dead.
Good God.
Yeah. So I was smart enough though that if I was going to go to a party and I had to drive, I would nurse just one beer. I wasn't one of those people that get wasted and then try to drive home. So.
Okay, a few other fun ones for you. The crowd I hung out with. Well, my sister first was with the popular girls. She was essentially like the Heathers.
Who?
Yeah.
No, she was more like Quinn and her friends from Daria.
No, because Quinn and her friends weren't actively mean and cruel to people.
You're the one who told me that's what she was like. You said she was the Quinn of that group.
That's true. Yeah, she was pretty much the Quinn of that group. And then at some point they decided she was no longer part of the crew, and she got ostracized in a very, very cruel way. And she total image change, totally everything about her changed. It was a whole new routine. Now she was a hippie stoner. And some of the people she hung out with, oh my God, stories I could tell. The one I remember is she wanted to pick up her boyfriend. So I drove her out there to pick up her boyfriend to this location. And I don't know where I'm going. And I get to this trailer park. There's this one lone trailer out in the corner. No other trailers around it. We pull up and two dudes, one of them, her boyfriend, are on the top of the trailer waving, I guess, foils at each other. Fencing foils. And these things were old because they were all bent up. And they're laughing their ass off and they're jumping up and down and jumping off the trailer. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And one of the guys goes, oh, hey, this is really awesome. My dad just got got back from work and he got a whole bunch of, what was it? Oh, fuser. Was it fusers? The active element in an air conditioner. Is that the fuser?
Oh, Freon?
Freon. Yeah.
Oh.
He loaded them. His dad was an air conditioning repairman. And his dad would take all these spent Freon canisters and bring them home, and him and his son would huff them.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, you know what? That must have been a thing in the 90s, because I had friends when they moved into an apartment, they didn't have weed one night and they were too broke, so they jury-rigged their air conditioner and huffed the Freon in it.
Fuck.
I hung out with some winners. Like I said, I went through a rebellious phase. I hung out with some
I agree, Chicken Sith,
questionable
absolutely.
people.
But yeah.
Oh, no, I was just saying I hung out with some questionable people, really questionable people. Well, no, some of them were drug dealers.
Yeah, that's par for the course.
Well, there's your story.
Which one?
The LSD guy?
That wasn't my friend. This was actually... He was part of that crew that was sword fighting on top of the trailer, in fact. Okay, where I lived, there was a lot of LSD and a lot of weed because there were orange groves and a college. The college produced the LSD, and there were marijuana crops out in the orange groves. So there were a lot of drugs in my town. And there were a handful of guys. Most of the guy that had the dad who was an air conditioning repairman, he was very poor. I mean, barely working class. But the rest of them were these rich kids who were pretty much being stoners because they could afford to. And one of them, I remember at one point, was selling LSD for extra money. And he took his friends to a Grateful Dead concert. And while they were there, this was this infamous trip to the Grateful Dead concert that lots of people at the school knew about because of just the sheer level of drugs these four guys did, including one guy who I swear, damaged his brain because he ate a whole sheet.
Jesus. Oh.
And yeah, he couldn't look at Escher paintings without kind of getting lost in them. He was that kind of messed up.
Oh no, I know two different people that permanently fucked themselves up. But one ate a whole sheet, the other one literally chewed a dropper full of LSD crystals.
Oh God, why? But anyway, so this culminated in something very, very bad. The guy that had taken them to the concert and provided the LSD wasn't so good at math, and he let his friends have too much of the LSD, and he didn't sell enough of it. And being a wannabe hippie, he really didn't understand how in over his head he had gotten, being that he was dealing drugs for the local, essentially the local gang the gang in the local barrio. And they killed him.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And it's like, he thought he could just go to them and explain, hey, dude, look, we took more than we should have. I'll pay you back. He thought he could do that, and now they killed him.
You can't. I knew a guy that was a drug dealer that he went to prison for a couple of years. I didn't hang out with this guy. He just would show up sometimes. Other people hung out with him. He was like one of those scary fucking people. And when he got out of prison, he mysteriously drowned in his jacuzzi 2 weeks later. And we think it's because he hid some cash or a stash or something and didn't fess up about it while he was in prison. And then they wanted it and he said no, and he was going to try and coast off with it, and they drowned him.
Jeez.
Yeah. Geez, why is it? Yeah, Gen Xers seem to all have stories. Like, we have all of the stories of people calling us in the middle of the night. The one drug dealer we knew who probably got killed. The person who died driving drunk or getting hit by a drunk. And at least one person who committed suicide.
Jesus, oh my God, one of my friends in high school, really cool guy, one of the first people to introduce me to death metal and black metal. And I really liked the guy. He was very cool, and we thought everything was okay. And one day we found out he blew his head off. It must have been a thing for Gen Xers. I mean, really. Because your stories and my stories, and I think Trenton Arney also says that he has had similar life experiences, because he said we should all meet up for a convention.
Yeah, I was looking at that right now.
But yeah, it just must have been a thing, which is, I guess, maybe social media changed all that, because people didn't have to go out and experience it. They could just like type to each other. So they're not having all these crazy ass experiences.
Well, I can't say it was exactly the safest life, but I think we got more out of it. I mean, I don't regret any of it.
I think it was just, honestly, I really do think it was the 90s. Like, everybody just had a fuck it and fuck you attitude.
Yeah.
You know, we had a hangover from the decadence of the 80s. And now it was just like, everybody's trying to get it back together. But at the same time, just like, I'm done.
Well, the problem was with so much of the 80s, with our parents at least, was that they had ran everything up on credit expecting the bombs to fall. And for a lot of the Gen Xers, we didn't think we had a future. So I think when the Soviet Union fell and we're like, shit, nuclear war is inevitable, it was like this major wake-up call for our parents, and suddenly they wanted to raise their kids and be super responsible and bubble wrap the world and give us Barney. And we had to figure out what the hell we were going to do with our lives, because
you're right.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to make it past 10. I really thought my life was going to be Terminator. I'm not joking.
No, a lot of us did.
Yeah, or Mad Max. I mean, because that's the movies we were raised on. Or if it wasn't that, we were going to end up on some fucked up colony with a cyberpunk world. And it was going to be like Blade Runner, you know, where the Earth is so fucked that it's better to live on a shitty colony on Mars or the moon. I mean, there was no future for us, because that's what we were told.
Yeah, we were told either it was going to be Mad Max or nuclear war, usually. Of course, where I lived, we also got a lot of the the lake of fire stuff was going to happen. You know, Jesus was going to show up, and
Oh yeah, I had that experience too. I was part of a church that was very that was an evangelical church. In fact, I almost lost my faith and my Christian faith because of that church. And it was just blind luck that I didn't lose it. But I mean, the people told me I couldn't hang out with my degenerate friends, and maybe I shouldn't have, but some of them I'm still very close with today.
I don't know. You make it through that crucible, you're better for it, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the shit that people are sweating right now, both our parents and younger people, don't seem as big of a deal to Gen X. Have you noticed that?
Dude, it's small fucking potatoes. Like, it really is. They're sweating the small stuff, and it's actually driving me insane.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'm happy that my dad is dead and my mom has Alzheimer's.
Sorry, I
It's
got
such
to
a
read
horrible
this because it's
fucking
funny.
thing to say, right?
Unqualified comics. Gen X is depressing.
Yes, we are a depressing friggin' generation. And you know who else was a depressed generation? The greatest generation.
Eh,
Because they were dealing with world wars.
yeah.
So
Well,
they thought the world was ending anyway, and they had the Spanish flu as well.
Give it
Marv
this-
Alice says that they were raised in a cult, so no experiences like that. Oh, I want to hear about that.
Oh, geez, dude. Okay, yeah, we need to bring you on at some time.
Yes, please. I would love to hear about. I'm weird. I like to hear about cult experiences.
Oh, no, it's fast. No. Anytime you have something that's that far outside the norm, and especially if it has its own culture, I mean, that's fascinating stuff to learn. I mean, it's a window into something you don't otherwise see. Ms. Cario. Yeah?
I was going to say, I had a brush with Scientology that was like a holy shit, what the fuck moment. Have I told you guys the Scientology story?
No, but let me read a few of these first.
Okay.
I've really neglected the chat this time around.
I know.
Funny, I never had knew anyone who committed suicide. Drunk driving deaths, knew plenty of those. Got invited to get high a lot, but didn't think much of anyone that offered when they were sober. Being Mormon, says Trenton, I expected to be dead in a trench outside of Jerusalem by 35. Yep, there you go. Okay, you read Marv's quote about. Yeah, I don't know. In one way, yeah, it sounds really dark, but on the other way, I don't know. We experienced a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things I don't regret. I mean, there were a lot of good things about that time, the freedom I had, just going out and doing things.
I miss that. I'm sad my kid's not going to be able to get that, at least not for a while, unless things change. Like, I can't give my kid that, hey, go hop on your bicycle, ride to your friend's house, come back before the streetlights come on.
Marv, not going down that path because we try to keep this show non-political, but I absolutely agree with you about population not being the problem. It is corporations. Satanic Panic, Chicken Sith. Oh, I remember that. Lots of friends. Yeah.
Oh my God. If you had red or black candles, your kid was worshiping Satan. And if your kid played D&D, they were worshiping Satan. And don't forget the Ouija board.
Or what? No.
My mom was a pagan and she forbade black candles from the house.
No. If your son had a Winger album.
Oh my God, right?
Oh,
Remember
wow.
when they were like, if you play the albums backwards, they're saying satanic rituals.
Or Motley Crue was considered a really dangerous band.
I know. Oh my God. Thank you for bringing up the Satanic Panic, Chicken Sip, because yeah, that brings back good memories. Do you remember that movie with the TV movie with Tom Hanks that was supposed about, not Towers and Trolls, that's an actual game. Monsters and Mazes, wasn't that it?
Yeah.
Where he got brainwashed on D&D and thought he was actually in the game. Like, holy shit.
You know, we watched a thing on that. Who was it that reviewed it, Kat?
Snob.
Was it Cinema Snob that reviewed it?
Yeah.
Was he the one that got into the history on it and how that wasn't the original script and that
Yeah, I think so.
that the network actually was the one that really created it, turned it into something else.
Mhm.
And that the original script was a guy about based on a true story where it was someone who had a I forget the personality disorder, but essentially they're prone to fantastical thinking.
Well, I think this was the guy who actually was playing D&D and went to a cave and like committed suicide.
But yeah, the original script wasn't supposed to be so condemning of gaming. Of course, yeah, they got totally changed.
That movie's so funny.
Yeah. Have you ever? And of course, then there were all the videos about was it the Christian videos about the games or the toys? He-Man was satanic.
Yep.
Well, Chicken Sis said that his sisters and him were barred from watching Care Bears and Smurfs because of satanic panic.
Oh God. I'm sorry. I think I barred them from Smurfs because of communism, but
I remember my church told me that I needed to stop reading X-Men because it was satanic.
oh,
That was when I saw the first cracks in the evangelical church I was going to. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, they told me to give up X-Men and D&D. I was like, no, I will go to hell.
Well, I'm wearing down. I'd like to continue. These are always fun. Hopefully, didn't depress the audience too much. But I'm going to have to call it a night. What about you, Kat? I think the audience just appreciated the cleavage, the show,
Of course.
because it's quite nice this evening, honey. It's a good view.
Well, this is my Faster Pussycat cosplay.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you don't have the bra to make them look like they're going to explode out, but
Well, we don't want to kill our audience.
No. Now, I mean, they're not held up like two torpedoes or anything. But yeah. All right. Well, hey, thank you for joining us. In the description, we do have the wish list now. If you wish to help the show get the equipment we need, so that, as always, we stop using this for a tripod and this for the camera mount.
Oh, goodness.
But yeah, that's in the description along with all the usual links. But thanks again for joining us, and we will talk to you soon.
Good night, everyone.